All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, Cedric McMillan just minutes ago posted a physique update at under 6 weeks out from the 2022 Arnold Classic, which is kind of his comeback of sorts after the Legion Sports Festival. So as you guys know, he competed at the pre-judging of the Legion Sports Festival. He was outside of the first call-out, so he was likely going to place outside of the top 5 at that Legion Sports Festival. But he did not finish, so his official score was DNF. He was kind of disqualified because he didn't show up for the night show. Then he was scheduled to compete in the KO Pro Show in Egypt. We did not see him compete there either. So this is the first show that he's going to be doing and supposedly completing since the last time we saw him compete and complete a show, which was the 2020 Arnold Classic, where he took 6th place. And the last show that Cedric won was the 2019 Romania Muscle Fest Pro, and we have not seen him at an Olympia since 2019, where he took 7th. And Cedric is an interesting one because I think he's obviously a fan favorite. He's one of the more well-liked bodybuilders in the IFBB, and I always like to tell this story. Cedric is one of the nicest, most humble pros there is. I met Cedric back in 2016 at the Arnold Classic meet and greet. He was competing that year, and he was the only bodybuilder. I met most of them that year that took like 10 minutes to talk to me. Everybody in line, he really made an effort to talk to, but he would really make an effort to connect with his fans. He would look you in the eye and talk to you for 10 minutes about whatever it was we were talking about. And I believe that year he had just won the Laverne Classic, the Kevin Lavroni show, and I think he like gave away his trophy or sold it or something for charity, and I believe that's what we were talking about. And I think his speech when he won the 2017 Arnold Classic was one of the best speeches in bodybuilding history. So for those reasons, he's really humble. He's a pretty good speaker. He's a pretty personable guy. I think he's a fan favorite, and he is one of the few Arnold Classic champions that's in this Arnold Classic lineup. So it's really hard not to root for the guy. I would love to see Cedric come into this show and get some redemption here after that Legion Sports Festival, which was really the last time we saw him on stage. Not the best physique that we ever saw from Cedric, but also not the worst. And he's 44 now, so I've seen some people make the argument that he's past his prime and his best competitive years are behind him, but he's still a guy that I find myself rooting for. He brings something different to the stage. His posing is always phenomenal. He's got a, classic physique in the sense that he's got a small waist. In recent years, it hasn't been as small as it was, but being humble and gracious and an eloquent poser, I think are all things that make him a very easy to root for guy. But where will he place in this year's Arnold Classic? I think we will see him in the top 6. Do I think he's going to be a top 3 guy? Honestly, probably not. But I do think Cedric is disappointed in his last appearance on stage at Legion Sports Festival. I do think Cedric is chasing some redemption here. I do think Cedric wants to bring his best here. And if Cedric brings really good conditioning and brings somewhat close to his best, I think he's going to land in the top 6. Will he beat Brandon or Bonac? I think probably not. It's been a really long time since we've seen him beat either of those two guys. And some of these young guys we've been talking about, Brett Wilkin, Justin Rodriguez, Rafael Brandao, Samson Dowda. There's a lot of young up-and-coming pros right now that are looking to take Cedric's spot. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Where do you think Cedric McMillan will place in this year's Arnold Classic? Within the top 6, within the top 3? Could he win, or will he be towards the bottom of the call-outs? Let me know in the comments below. And now a word from our sponsors at the Arnold Sports Festival.
I think that every bodybuilder has something unique, especially the bodybuilders today. I mean, wow, they are big.
Now, next up in the news, will we or won't we see Flex Lewis compete at the 2022 Mr. Olympia? He's hinted, or at least committed to, in 2020 and 2021, wanting to make his Men's Open Olympia debut. A 7-time 212 Olympia champion wanting to try his luck in the Men's Open class. But because of injuries and personal reasons, Flex chose to not compete in either of those two Olympias, and I believe it was the 2021 that he got the special invitation for, so he was invited to compete, meaning he did not have to qualify that first time around. But this time around, it looks like it might be different. Dan Solomon, who is essentially the spokesperson for the Olympia, recently posted this on his story, and two of the questions on here kind of pertain to Flex Lewis. One of them is Flex Lewis qualified for the 2022 Olympia? And the answer to that question is he is qualified to compete in the 212 division. So if you guys didn't know, the rules right now specifically are if you've won an Olympia title, you're qualified for life to compete in that category at the Olympia. Crossover competing in other categories so far, I don't really think there's any rules that prevent it, but you have to qualify. And then Dan also answers the question, have any special invitations been issued for this year's Olympia? And he says no, but it's only January. So again, it's important to keep in mind here, in the past, they did extend the special invitation to Flex Lewis. But I think it's interesting that here they specifically point out that he's qualified specifically for 212, and I have to believe that has something to do with, what we saw at the Legion Sports Festival. We saw Sean Clarita win that show, win the men's open class. Sean Clarita is a 212 Olympia champion, so he's qualified for life in 212, but I don't know if he necessarily had to, but he did go out and qualify. If he wants to compete in men's open at the Olympia this year, he can, because he's qualified. He did it the old-fashioned way. And we also saw Angel Calderon do the same thing. Even though he's not a 212 Olympia champion, he was top 4 at the 212 Olympia. But he went out and won a men's open show and qualified himself for men's open bodybuilding if he wants to in 2021. So I kind of have to believe that maybe the rationale behind this is, look, Sean Clarita went out and won a show in men's open to qualify for men's open. Flex Lewis should have to do the same, or could easily do the same. And if that is the rationale, I kind of agree with that. But honestly, they've given out some, I would say, questionable special invitations in the past. I would say if anybody does deserve a special invitation, it's Flex Lewis. He's a 7-time 212 Olympia champion, arguably the best to ever do it in 212, the best 212 bodybuilder by stats of all time. Do I think Flex would have any trouble winning a pro show, picking a pro show to get to the Olympia? Absolutely not. I think it's just more a matter of the inconvenience for Flex. And I think from the Olympia perspective, the selling point of having Flex in the men's open lineup is, will he or won't he be able to stand with the big boys? That's the question. And if Flex were made to compete in a pro show prior to the Olympia, it would take out a little bit of that illusion. It would take a little bit of that mystique away from how is Flex going to fare against these bigger guys? Because essentially you would get a preview of that at whatever show Flex does in the men's open class to qualify for the Olympia, if that's what he has to do. I think the best move for everybody, for the fans, for the Olympia, and for Flex, would just be to give him the special invite and save that for the Olympia. Flex's first foray into men's open bodybuilding at the Olympia is the most exciting scenario out of all of them, I think. It provides a better selling point for the Olympia. It's more convenient for Flex, and Flex can focus solely on peaking for the Olympia, bringing his best to the Olympia, and it continues to build up that anticipation for the fans of seeing Flex on stage at the Olympia and only at the Olympia. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As far as special invitations go, do you think Flex deserves to get one or not? Why or why not? Personally, I think he does deserve to get one. I think he should get one. Special invitations exist for that reason. And like I said, some of the ones in the past I think have been a little bit questionable. If Kevin Levrone qualifies for special invitation a decade past his prime, then Flex Lewis, the best 212er of all time, I think should deserve one on that merit. And by the way, Flex is not even 40. He's still in his 30s, so if anyone still has potential to do well in men's open and make a successful transition, he's only 38. He's still got plenty of time to make that transition and potentially even peak in men's open bodybuilding. And Flex, by the way, is another one I would put in that category of one of the most, pleasant bodybuilders to meet. I remember meeting Flex, I think it was the 2017 Arnold at the Expo that I met Flex. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And of course, back then, this was before anybody had any idea who I was. I was barely doing anything on YouTube at the time. So to them, I was just some random person, and probably still to a lot of these guys, I'm just some random person. And Flex was one of them. He was like the nicest guy in the world. In fact, I remember like it was yesterday. He was at his that peanut butter booth that he was involved with. I think it was called like Sin Fit or something. But anyway, super nice guy, and I would love to see him compete at the Olympia this year in Men's Open. And finally, in classic physique news, this is one of the most recent updates from Ramon Dino. I don't know for sure if Ramon is 6 weeks out here or if this is a little bit older, because some of the more recent stuff that he posted, he looked a little bit leaner than he looks here. But this is the guy. I really think he's going to be a top 2 guy at this Arnold. I think he's going to be the guy that comes closest to Terrence Ruffin. And since we talked about Terrence in the last video, this is the guy that I think is probably going to give him the best run for his money at the Arnold. I think Ramon's only real weak point compared to Terrence is probably his back. But as you guys can see in that front double bicep, he's extremely strong from the front, especially in poses like that. Vacuum pose, V-taper, lat flare from the front, everything you want to see in a classic physique. But like I said, Terrence is my prediction to win Classic. I don't think this is going to be the one that he gets beaten at. And like I said before, Brandon Curry is my pick to win Open. And I think both of those predictions are pretty safe lock-ins to win. But that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win Classic? Who do you think is going to win Open? Let me know the predictions. As always, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. Click that bell notification icon as well. Click that like button. Very important. Make sure you like the video. Leave a thumbs up. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.